quote, Gnostics detected the Archons as physical intruders into our biosphere that also use their technological sophistication as artificial intelligences to manipulate the human psyche so as to operate as a parasitic shadow on the human consciousness. The Gnostics referred to the Archons as an artificial man. Archon has linguistic origins in Greek in reference to authority and comes from the same root as arch or arch, as in archangel. The Gnostics specifically used the term archons in reference to the idea of these artificial sentient beings as fallen angels that inhibit spiritual awakening by convincing humanity of a false reality. Forces of sin and temptation. Gnostics represent the Archons as indeed seeking to inspire systems of organized religion and other corresponding authority structures, unquote.
Deep.
That's powerful stuff.
Beyond the forbidden.
Welcome to Beyond the Forbidden. Today on the show, I got Laurence Galian back. We will be talking about the book that expanding upon the book that we talked about last time he was on, Alien Parasites, 40 Gnostic Truths to Defeat the Archon Invasion. But we're going to bring some other things into the discussion as well. And there's a lot of notes that I didn't cover with that interview. So this is basically part 2 with some more things that get thrown into the mix, into the conversation. But welcome back, Laurence. How you been, man?
I've been very well, and it's a pleasure to be back. Thanks for inviting me, Michael. I love your show.
Yeah,
you have some fantastic guests, and I'm really honored to be one of them. So thanks again.
I appreciate it. I usually like to do, I've done a lot of in-person, face-to-face interviews also, but past couple, I don't know, since COVID, it's just been kind of slowing down, you know, and really there's only one conference that I go to do some of these face-to-face conversations, which is the Ozark UFO conference in Eureka Springs. But there's another one I'll be going to in Texas next year. I forgot the name of it. I got it bookmarked though, but man, shit, next time you come down to Louisiana, I'll get you in person too, man.
I've got a new friend in Louisiana actually, so I just might take you up on that offer.
Is he north, central, or south?
North.
That's where I am too.
Oh, cool.
North Louisiana. Yep.
All right.
Well,
so maybe we go to the conference together.
West Monroe.
There you go.
But so I guess, man, so I want to touch, like I said, I want to touch on, you know, some things that we discussed last interview. And I want to go, you know,
well, if I could jump in.
Go ahead, man. Like I told you last time, Laurence, I'm always here, man. You know, this show is a platform for the guests. So go ahead.
Well, you know, I really been thinking a lot about your daughter because when you asked me that question, that touched me very deeply. Um, and
Which one, Lawrence? I don't remember. Which one? The
you had said something about can the archons work through the television to
Ooh.
affect your daughter's mind, infect,
Mhm.
really. An archon is as much of a virus as it is a parasite. Um,
Would
and
Would you like me to read that to you again?
uh,
To I guess to refreshing everybody.
yeah, go ahead. Go
Let me
ahead. Yeah, give it
see.
a chance.
I'm pulling up. I got the on the computer in front of me. I have the new notes, but if I can find it here, um, what are some other ways that one can be psychically possessed by these archonic entities? Can they latch on someone when they are full of ego, greed, and evil? Can they latch on via a person who is astral traveling? Uh, Addictions like gambling, drugs. Can they latch on to someone who, people zombified in the streets, on meth um
Yeah.
and fentanyl? Can they latch on someone if they are unhealthy? Can they even latch on through the television through an innocence of a young child when they're in that fragile state of development? What are some other ways? Which of those that I mentioned would you omit?
Speak the truth, brother. I mean, you just outlined a really a whole bunch of the ways. Like I said, they're
let's
multi-dimensional.
let's tackle. Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
elaborate on the one. Let's say, can they even latch on through the television through an innocence of a young child when they're in that fragile state? Elaborate a little more on that, because I feel like, I have a 13 and a half month old child now, and I worry about her future. I'm going to do the best I can, but I see how, and we, even adults, we're byproducts of propaganda through film and the hypnosis that we go through watching television. I love television too, but I know what's going on. I love football. I love watching movies, but I understand the game. But I feel
Yeah.
like if when you see kids, they're staring into that screen. It makes me wonder: can something come through to their subconscious and latch on?
Well, Michael, do you know that by the time a teenager graduates high school, he or she or it has seen over 8,000 murders or simulated murders on media, on television, cable, movies, whatever. But that number, 8,000 murders. Uh, Now, what would you think something like that would do to the mind of a child? 8,000 murders. And
First off,
this,
it'll destroy the innocence.
exactly, it's a perfect like insertion point for the alien parasite to enter into the child. Remember, the alien parasites want to create a state of depression, a state of feeling like the world sucks, that it's not worth trying. Uh, any of any negative emotion that it could possibly insert inside your mind. And so, if you're used to seeing just murder, I mean, I always thought it was strange when I was younger, that it was forbidden to see. I was brought up Roman Catholic, and we actually received a Catholic newspaper, and they would rate the movies. And if there was any nudity in the film, it was forbidden for Catholics to see the film. And I always thought, this is weird that love making, two people showing their love to each other, is forbidden for Catholics to see. But to see good old John Wayne shooting them Indians, well, that's no problem. And I thought, no, that's fucked up. It's 100% okay to show cowboys shooting other cowboys, cowboys shooting Indians, indigenous Americans. But a breast, God forbid, we should see a breast. So yeah, seeing all this murder and negativity on television and other media is not good for a child. And I was looking in my book here that if you care about your children, protect them from alien parasite attacks. Prevent your child from becoming addicted to media that is full of torture, murder, blood, bullets, and violence. Beware of anything that generates negative emotions. And I'm no expert on video games. I really never really liked them, but I know my stepdaughter plays some of them, and some of them can be filled with torture and violence. Not just murder. Murder isn't enough anymore. But the torture and violence are very big now in a lot of video games. So yeah, we do have to be aware of what our children and teenagers are, what kind of media they're involved in, and if it looks like it's generating, negative images, this is a perfect entry point for the alien virus to enter into the mind. And so a parent can't be there 24/7, but we got to do our best to protect our children from this negative stuff.
So I guess, what do you think the reasoning and purpose for this conditioning of the children, and people in general, are is it the pleroma? The pleroma?
Pleroma.
Is
yes.
it basically, because I have a note here that I've asked before on another interview many months back. So what is this universe, before we get to the pleroma or whatever? Because some say it's kind of like a simulation. I'm not saying a computer game. You know what I mean? Not saying a computer game.
Right.
Everything is digits, ones and zeros. Everything is algorithms, and everything is holographic in nature, but what's the purpose for trying to this energy, whatever it is, the archons, or whatever? And I know you can explain this a lot better than me, but what are they wanting though? Like, is it, and this is what I asked that other individual I had on the show, is sentient life forms in our solar system and other solar systems created to form and act something like a battery, like Morpheus mentions in the Matrix? And is our consciousness, which is pure energy, created like a power plant spirit farm that these gods, the architect of the simulation, the Matrix, whatever this reality is well, whatever label you want to choose, can come in and harvest our essence, our energy, and our consciousness like a farmer would harvest its crops. Cartoon movies like Monsters, Inc. portrays that a little also.
Do you want to help support Beyond Forbidden and receive extra content that's not seen anywhere else? By becoming a patron, a few things you will receive are the full-length 90-minute or 120-minute podcast episode. Members will also receive a private link to the video podcast and will only be exclusive to Patreon members. In-person, face-to-face interviews with some of the most well-known, respected researchers. Behind-the-scenes footage of interviews not seen anywhere else. And that's just a few perks. So what do you have to lose? Cut out one brain-rotting, overly processed Happy Meal a month that doesn't do anything beneficial for your mind, body, and spirit, and become a Patreon for just $5.
What you think?
Well, there's so many ways to look at what may be going on in the universe. As you know, I really warn people very much against getting involved with any kind of teacher or guru, even teacher of Gnosticism, who says this is the way it is, and I'm going to teach you the one true way, because really there are just too damn many possibilities out there. We might, well, in Gnosticism, they remember we talked about the demiurge in our first discussion, and how he's the head of the Archons, and how he mistakenly thinks that he's the one and only God, and that he did create the earth, and he does have powers of creation, because sort of like Satan, he did fall from the pleroma in a way. It's kind of a long story, but my point is this, that we human beings have been gifted with an incredible creative ability. Just think about all the art, the music, the architecture, you name it. We are creative beings. Even, I like comedy because I think there's a lot of truth that comedians put out there. But that involves creativity. And anyway, but just for a moment, I'd like to talk about writing books. Now, you take your typical author, and he can or she can write about anything that they want to write about. And now think about a character in one of their books. Does this character have sentience? Is this character aware of itself? This might lend some credence to the simulation hypothesis that that we have been programmed to think that we're sentient. But I myself think more that it's the archons themselves who are telling us, no, you don't have sentience. You're not aware. We control you, because they want us to be hopeless. They want us to feel hopeless and helpless. So, but the fact is that we can create worlds. We do it all the time. Filmmakers, book writers, so forth and so on, screenwriters. They're always creating worlds, and creativity, even in our dreams, when you think about it, ask yourself when you have a moment to spare. My dream last night, well, who wrote the script to that dream? Who decided on the what's the word, like, is it going to be happening in a house or outside? What kind of building or room are we in? And it's really, in a way, like a movie, that it takes, a movie takes thousands of people. I mean, even down to the clothes you're wearing in your dream. And sometimes you're talking to people you know. I have met extraterrestrials in my dreams that I'm sure were not dreams, but I believe that the subconscious has a back door, let's call it that, and from that back door, we can enter into realms that defy explanation. Because really, I mean, who put together your dream? It boggles the imagination when you think of all the factors that have to go into just creating a dream. I mean, the colors. Who's thinking about that?
I had a note about dreams. Well, why do people believe that their dreams are real, or in the context of this dream talk, or the dreamscape? Why do people, some, I guess, believe that the dreams are real while they are experiencing them, only to realize upon waking that they were just subconscious simulations? And how does this understanding of the dreamscape, whatever that reality is, that headscape that we go in, how does that make us vulnerable to individuals and other types of influences from that dreamscape to be attached, or to be attacked by something, by the Archons,
Well, yes, I would answer yes to that. And that is why I strongly advise that people learn shielding techniques. I think I might have touched on this.
We did a little bit.
Yes. I want to give away one technique right now from my book because it's so important for humanity. I want everybody, when they have a chance, sit down, make yourself comfortable. You can even be laying down, and envision yourself encircled by a giant blue egg of energy, of light. This extends about 2 to 3 feet in all directions from your body, and with the top of the egg above your head. And it's an electric blue. If you've ever seen a spark coming out of an electric outlet, or a battery or something like that, I'm sure all of us have seen electric blue. So envision yourself surrounded by an electric blue light, an egg that extends 2 to 3 feet in all directions all around you. Now, above you, there is a brilliant white light, almost so brilliant that you cannot look at it. And then all of a sudden, that light above your head explodes into 1,000,000 stars, twinkling silver stars that descend all through the electric blue egg, completely encircling you and flowing all around you. And keep that image in your mind for 30 seconds to a minute or so. And that is a fantastic shield whenever you feel yourself in danger, or you're thinking of a loved one and you know that they're either sick or depressed or in some way in need. You can envision them encircled by this electric blue light egg. But get in the habit of doing this for yourself. So morning, noon, evening, it only takes a minute at the most. Envision yourself encircled by this electric blue egg with the white light on top that explodes into 1,000,000 stars twinkling all around you. And traditionally, in the most secret of societies, this has been taught as a way to protect yourself from negative energies. So I recommend this to everyone who is listening to keep themselves positive. If you feel yourself in a negative mood, worrying about something, do this exercise. And yeah, this is one way, as before you go to bed, to keep yourself protected against negative influences. It's not easy for the alien virus, the alien parasites, to enter your mind. I want to make that clear. A lot of people who have read my book or have asked me questions about it start to become afraid and think like they are incredibly vulnerable to attack at any moment. Well, no. As long as you keep yourself in as positive a frame of mind as possible, these archons cannot gain entry. It's when you feel hopeless, helpless, when you're really sick, when your defenses are low. Yes, those times, yeah.
If they do get in your mind, latch on, how can you, because you can't use that practice that you just said, I would assume, how can you get rid of them?
Well, you need to be forceful, and you need to tell them who you are, that you're a spark of divinity, that you have the divine spark of creativity within you, that you are filled with love, and to get the fuck out of my mind. talk to them like that. Tell them, go, get out. I don't want to see you anymore. This is very important because this shows your will, and that's what it all boils down to, is your will. A lot of people will turn to the dark side, frankly. People who become Satanists, sell their souls to the devil. A lot of musicians will do this. This is not as unusual as you might think, even as horrible as it sounds, but sacrifice goes on in the United States and elsewhere throughout the world. Human sacrifice still is happening. People, it's part of what they will. They decide to do that. They decide to turn to the dark side. They decide to just be a screwed up person, a creep, to gossip, to ruin someone's career, to take someone's job,
or using, or just like Abraham, voices in his head or whatever, to sacrifice his son Isaac. I think it was Isaac.
Yeah. That's incredible. If that was me, I would say, fuck you, Yahweh. If you're taking my son, you're taking me with him. I'm not killing my son. Remember, Yahweh is Yaldabaoth. He's the demiurge. This is not, the Gnostics had no time for Mr. Yahweh. He was the enemy. But now, people, you were asking me a very deep question before about, well, then what's it all about? And the Gnostics address this in their Gospels and writings. And they say that the ultimate God, if you will, is unknowable by us. This being is so exalted, so advanced, that we cannot even imagine this being. So they did not give it a name. They have some chance and whatnot to connect with the divine, but no, they said that he is really like unknowable and unimaginable by your average human being.
I've heard some say that this Yaldabaoth, or
the demiurge,
or the demiurge, even the Archons or whatever, that the energy, or it all started, and I guess they're still there in the center of the Milky Way, where all the energy and all the, because where all the energy is, because and that's the reason why everything seems so chaotic where we are, because we're on the tail end of the Milky Way and just a little tiny arm, You know, we're so far away from source, so far away from the energy. But some say that we're getting closer to that, to these certain energy fields within the Milky Way galaxy. And that's the reason why we're having psychotic breaks, because we're getting closer to, I guess, the true source, you know, which I'm still learning these things as I go throughout the years. And I've heard different people talk about that, but what's your thoughts on that, Laurence?
Well, it's really amazing that when I came here to Mexico and I started investigating and participating in some indigenous ceremonies, the Mayans, and they spoke about something called Hunab Ku. And I don't have a image of that right now to show you, but it looks a little bit like the yin and yang symbol. Now, the Hunab Ku was the center of the galaxy, the Milky Way, and so they believe that at the very center of the galaxy is where the divine dwells. Now, this is amazing because this is the exact same thing that the Gnostics said. They said it is at this center, the pleroma is at the exact center of the galaxy. And the pleroma is the fullness of the divine. And the pleroma consists, as opposed to the archons, of beings called eons. And these eons exist in, it's called a syzygy, and it's like they exist in couples, but they're united. So Christ and Sophia were united as one being. And so the male and the female energies are together as one. And there are many, many of these eons that exist in the pleroma. But again, right at the center of the galaxy. So I do not have reason to fear approaching the center of the galaxy, but I would say that generally speaking, most people, just imagine like you don't do any spiritual work in your life. You don't meditate, you don't think about these things, you don't read about them, and you die. And then you wake up and you're like, where the fuck am I? What's going on? What the hell is happening? A person doesn't know because they have no way to orient themselves in the spirit realms. But if you have explored the supersensible spirit realms throughout your life, and you're comfortable with these concepts, then when you die, you're not going to be disoriented. You're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember learning about that. This person spoke about that, or this person wrote about that. And the more the more meditating a person does, the more exploration a person does about the spirit realms, the more relaxed, comfortable, and whatever he or she will be when they cross to the other side. I don't think it's a bunch of angels playing harps and we're going to be sitting on clouds and so forth. I do think that it's just a continuation of the exploration. We are explorers. We are adventurers through the galaxy, through the galaxies. And so, yeah, the work is not going to stop just because we cross to the other side. But if you don't do any, I mean, like when I went to my first trip overseas as young, I went to Paris, but I prepared myself. Like I got a map of Paris and I learned like every street in Paris. I learned how the Paris metro works, the bus system, so forth and so on. So when I got to, the airport in Paris, I just jumped onto a shuttle that took me to the metro. I knew which metro to take. I jumped on that. That took me to the left bank. And from there, I easily was able to find my hotel. But that's because I did my homework ahead of time. If you're like, fuck that shit, I don't want to, I don't believe in any of this spiritual crap. Well, you don't even have to give it the word spiritual. How about just saying, like, what's the next step? Am I ready for the next step? I mean, come on, like, if we're in primary school, we got to be ready to get to, secondary school. If we're not ready, then we're going to flunk out of secondary school. No, we're not going to be, we're not going to be like, we won't know what's going on. We won't know what the fuck is going on. And well, like we talked about, the Archons, they love to keep us stupid. And boy, I've seen some late night talk show hosts go out onto the street asking people like where, various cities are and continents and famous people, and they don't have the slightest idea. I mean, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, they don't know. A lot of people think Africa is a country. When I was in Cali, Colombia, a lot of people thought that the United States has two cities, Miami and New York. But we can laugh about it, but really we should be crying about it, because this is what is happening to our culture, and this is why the United States is going to be in deep shit in the next coming years, because we aren't training our young people. We're letting them off easy we're dumbing down our curriculums. We're allowing them to get away with murder, so to speak. Well, even with crime, we're letting people out on the street for assault and various crimes. We're just not holding people to account, even children, as far as having good passing grades. The teachers are under enormous pressure to pass them along to the next grade.
The lack of morality also.
There you go. Yes, the lack of morality. And so what, I mean, there was a time when the United States was great. I mean, imagine after World War II, we had the atomic bomb. We could have taken any nation on the face of the earth. We could have just said, you know, you're part of the United States now. And they couldn't have done anything about it. But what did we do? Really something amazing. We rebuilt Germany. We rebuilt Japan. Now, that's when we had morals. That's when we had a sense of responsibility in the world. And we didn't feel like, oh, we need to have a war that continues for the next, whatever, 30, 50 years. I mean, people don't even give a shit anymore that we're involved in so many conflicts. Do you know that the United States is involved in 70 conflicts in the world? We're militarily involved in 70 armed conflicts in the world at the present time. And do you hear about this in the news?
No.
Even the news at night, it's unbelievable, Michael. Like, I mean, all you
hear
see,
a lot about the Kardashians and Taylor Swift.
Shit, yeah. I mean, exactly. It's just a lot of talking heads, a lot of this, I don't know what they call it, the social whatever, like about the Kardashians and stuff.
Reality TV or whatever.
Yeah, I'm looking for another word, but anyway, yeah, the whole point is it's not like in the 1960s when we were getting actual videotape of what the fuck was happening in Vietnam. And people could see our young boys being killed. And people started to say, what the hell we're doing there? Why are we there? And people started waking up. And that's why the Pentagon, when they decided way back when to invade Iraq, they forbid journalists from traveling alone and from filming alone. They had to be, quote unquote, embedded with certain groups. Yeah.
We are the United States of decadence.
Shit, yeah. It's the truth, and that's where unfortunately right now we're in a battle to the death with the Archons. And that's why I wanted to get this book out there and into people's hands so that they would realize the seriousness of what's going on, because so many people are feeling hopeless, are feeling like, what's the use of trying? I mean, just look at the debt that people are in. Debt is a very, very dangerous thing, and it's one way that the Archons manipulate us. I mean, people are using their credit cards to pay other credit cards, or they're using it to pay their mortgage, but a lot of times they're using it just to keep up with the Kardashians. The Archons are whispering into our ears, oh, you need a better couch, you need a better car, you need a better this or that, you need better clothes. What happened to living a simple, respectable, moral lifestyle where we loved, cared for each other, where we lived in real community? I was amazed when I moved here to Mexico that you walk down the street in the morning and everyone says good morning to you. Or in the afternoon, good afternoon. Or at night, good night. Everyone. It's much more community oriented. It's much more oriented around the family, around the mother, which is so very important. Because really for the last 3,000 years or so, we've been living in a kind of male spirituality. I mean, what do we have? We have father, we have a son. The devil is always portrayed as masculine, as male. We have a little birdie that nobody's quite sure what that is. And I don't mean to be flip, but the fact is, and I mean, we have been living under a very masculine type of way of looking at the world. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a very big advocate for men's rights, a very big advocate. But when it comes to spirituality, we cannot deny it, that we have been praying to a God the Father and a God the Son. And what the hell happened to Goddess the Mother?
Sophia.
And that's where Sophia, yes, that's where Gnosticism comes in, because it talks about Sophia and how she also has come to the rescue of planet Earth. Planet Earth, in my opinion, is very important. Maybe there are simulations, but still there's got to be levels to simulations, and you can't get away from the concept of doing good, helping, or doing evil, hurting. I mean, no matter how many levels you want to go up, if you believe in simulation, you still have to look at it as like, are these beings' intentions loving, respectful, or disrespectful? And I would venture to think that just like here on planet Earth, just like all the books that have ever been written, what does it really come down to? A battle between good and evil. I mean, yeah, there's all sorts of subtleties with that, psychological subtleties, but basically comes down to a battle between good and evil. And so I have no reason to suspect that aliens are anything different, that extraterrestrials, there are beings that are actively seeking our advancement. And I very, very strongly believe in that. And in Gnosticism, we talk about the eons. These are the beings of the pleroma, the beings that, the beings of love, the beings of morality, of helping humanity, especially Christ and Sophia. But yeah, when we read any book that's written, it always comes down to a tale of good or bad, harming or caring, and so forth. And so I would say that that the universe would be very much the same, no matter where you go, no matter what level of civilization we're talking about, that they would still have the same kind of issues.
Do you want to help support Beyond Forbidden and receive extra content that's not seen anywhere else? By becoming a patron, a few things you will receive are the full-length 90-minute or 120-minute podcast episode. Members will also receive a private link to the video podcast and will only be exclusive to Patreon members. In-person, face-to-face interviews with some of the most well-known, respected researchers. Behind-the-scenes footage of interviews not seen anywhere else. And that's just a few perks. So what do you have to lose? Cut out one brain-rotting, overly processed Happy Meal a month that doesn't do anything beneficial for your mind, body, and spirit, and become a Patreon for just $5.